and their friends, supporters, and allies. The lives of countless thousands of British girls are ruined today because of these men. If Britain were ever close to being a sane society today, these people would be subjected to scorching criticism. There'd be a thorough public reevaluation about how much the left's alliance with Islamic supremism and smear campaign against foes of jihad terror has harmed the nation. But you probably know today, Islam is not a sane society by any stretch of the imagination. The Sheffield Township officers investigating child grooming were told to wind in their necks by their bosses. A BBC investigation has alleged that senior officers thought car crime, burglary, and robbery were bigger priorities than child sexual exploitation, despite the detectives in the city warning it as a major problem. He said that child sexploitation in Sheffield was massive and bigger than in neighboring Rotterdam, where at least 1,400 were abused over 16 years. This is shameful, and may each and every police officer, police official, news media that knew about this and did nothing, may they rot in hell. Oh, mercy, it just gets worse and worse. Next up, Malaysian State Assembly considers a bill mandating death for leaving Islam. Now there's a good, peaceful religion. Now, according to the tenets of Sharia law, if you leave Sharia, you are to be killed anyway. But in Malaysia, they are trying to make it a law as well as a political, or as well as a religious law. Frightening to think that the state would get behind such a move. Can you imagine that here in America? In America, it'd be more like if you don't join Islam, Obama would have you put to death. In the UK, Prime Minister Cameron has pulled a report at the last minute, a report on the Muslim Brotherhood. David Cameron has made an 11th hour intervention to postpone the publication of a controversial report in an attempt to avoid a potential problem with Saudi Arabia and Egypt. The report was likely to recommend that British not classify the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorists. This would annoy the Saudis and the Egyptians, who see and have classified the Brotherhood's quest to establish a caliphate as a threat to their power, which is quite obviously true in regard to the Egyptian regime, which supplanted the Muslim Brotherhood government. But if they are too tough on the Muslim Brotherhood, it will annoy Qatar, which is positive and supportive to the Brotherhood. They fund much of the terrorist activity, probably as much as Obama does. And since Qatar and the UK have just signed an agreement, David Cameron is confused as to what to do. The long-awaited report was to be published on Monday afternoon, but his move means it'll likely not be released before the UK election in May. Stephen Murley of the Global Muslim Brotherhood Watch stated that the Muslim Brotherhood has been banned from the Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Some ministers say that the two Gulf countries pressured Cameron into setting up the investigation in the first place. Folks, in my intro, week after week, I tell you that I cover the news of Islam around the world because it's a look into what we're facing if we don't stop what is happening. It's time to stop it. It's time to stop it now. In Sweden, the Islamists have told the government, if you don't give us certain sections of Oslo, the capital city, if you don't give us certain sections, you will have your own 9/11. You will have your own 9/11. These people are torching cars, burning police stations all across Europe, anywhere the numbers get high enough. Please go listen to my show, Islam is Not a Religion. Listen to the numbers. Listen to what is in store as Obama continues to allow these Muslims to come into our country. He's bringing them in by the hundreds of thousands. They leave by the thousands and go fight and train with ISIS, train fighting our own soldiers. And then they're allowed back in the country. Obama is turning his back. He's not even watching who's leaving from these groups. He's not watching who's coming back or where they're going. These Muslims come here from Somalia, Mogadishu, places that are known as hotbeds of terror, known as places that hate America. He's bringing them in by the hundreds of thousands and letting them leave to go get terror training and come back in, settling in amongst our cities, now that they're trained on creating bombs and identifying places to put them. What other terror tactics are they being taught before Obama allows them to come back into our society? Next up, France. France is doing something. 2 weeks ago, we told you about Australia. Australia is identifying these Islamists who leave the country. If they're going anywhere near the region, when they come back, their passports examined. If they've been anywhere near the region where ISIS is happening, they're not allowed back in the country. God bless Australia. New Zealand's doing the same thing. France is letting them back in, but they cut their welfare payments. 290 jihadists last year allowed back into the country, but they cannot have welfare. So what? They'll move in with somebody that has welfare, they'll make their bombs, and they'll blow up France. Continue to blow up France. Go online. Google Islamic France. Look what's happening to ghettos all over France. Islamic ghettos are taking over. The streets are blocked off, prayer rugs all over the city. There are some cities where Arabic is the number 2 language. It's no longer French than English. It's French and Arabic. It's horrifying what's happening to these cities. We've got to stop bringing them in. A report out of Indonesia. A video depicting young Indonesian boys learning to speak Arabic and training in weapons and martial arts. The kids say they're not afraid to face the enemies of God and pledge to ensure that Islamic law is implemented and to become mujahideen. These children seem to be about 10 years old. The Indonesian-based anti-terror expert Sydney Jones says she believes the school is in ISIS-controlled territory, probably in Syria. These children travel with their families. Mother and father are fighting the war, and the kids at this tender age are learning to be martyrs. A specialist Indonesian and Malaysian brigade within ISIS, known as Kabita Nasanutra, has been set up to make people from Southeast Asia feel more at home in Iraq and Syria. The unit has been blooded in battle against the Kurdish fighters, she said. It is thought they are coming into their own. And again, after they learn how to fight, they'll go home and fight the Christians and the Hindus and the Buddhists in Indonesia. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. The UK-based Islamic Human Rights Commission has disgusted everyone who owns a moral compass by giving its International Islamophobe of the Year award to Charlie Hebdo, the magazine where the cartoonists were all killed just 2 months ago. This is horrifying. First, they kill them, and then in post-mortem, they try to justify the deaths, justify the murders of these people by calling them Islamophobes. What a horrific thing to do. Folks, please listen to my show, Islamophobia. It's on PatriotRadioshow.com. Find out what an Islamophobe is, because if you listen to me, if you talk about things I say, you will be called an Islamophobe, and you need to be prepared. Find out what this is all about. Go to PatriotRadioshow.com and listen to the show. Folks, that's it for this week. Again, thanks to Veronica Coffin in the chat room. Angie, my good friend as well. Good night, America. God bless you and yours. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out.